Hey guys, Kevin here again with a brand new video. So in this lesson or video, I'm gonna show you guys the top 5 ways to scale your ads. And I know some of you guys may have a winner, but want to try to scale it, duplication, increase the budget, it just messes everything up. You know, I've been there and I know what it feels like, and these methods should help you scale your ads in a more safer um, area, because when you scale your ads, usually you tell Facebook that you want to, pretty much a bigger budget because you know it's a winner. Then all of a sudden, Facebook resets its patterns, the algorithm. Then it might give you a higher conversion rate. I mean, a higher cost per purchase, sometimes lower. But in this, lesson, I'm show you guys how to scale your ads effectively. So I wrote down on my blog, top 5 ways on how to scale your ads, and I'm gonna go through it in this video more in depth on how to scale your ads. So the first way on scaling your ads is duplication. And I know many of you guys may have heard of this or tried it. Duplication doesn't always work. It works for some, doesn't work for some, may work for some, But again, you also want to test these methods. You don't want to stick with one scaling method. You always want to test, all of them. If you know all 5 of them, test all 5 of them. Other techniques, do all of them. So for duplication, this one is the really basic scaling. The reason why people do duplication is because if you have a winning ad set that's getting you low cost per purchase, low CPP, and if you increase that budget too high too fast, it might mess up your winning ad. So that's why duplication is another option, or I would say the first option that you should try first. Instead of messing up on the asset that's already doing well, you don't want to mess it up, so you want to do duplication. So duplication, there's many methods to do this. So the first method I do is I would duplicate my winning asset maybe 2 to 4 times, and those 2 to 4 new assets with the exact same copy, exact same targeting, but the only difference is the budget. So let's say your $5 budget is getting you like positive ROI, getting a few sales here and there, and it shows you that it's a possible winner. So what you do is you duplicate the asset a few times, and let's say you duplicate it 4 times. So instead of $5 budget for your duplication, you will have a $10, $20, $30, $40. So you have 4 different ad set running, but with different budgets. So what you do, let them run. I know this might cost a bit of money off your pocket, but it's worth it to try and test it out to scale your ads. So with those 4 ad sets, you will let it run, and then monitor it every few hours or a day or two, and look at your data, see which budget of those duplications is getting you the best results. If it's getting good results, great, leave it on. If the other ones doesn't get a good result, close them. So again, you want to split test the budgets. So that's one way of duplication of scaling. And another way is probably the most simple one, which is increase your budget. And this is kind of tricky because if you increase your budget too much, Facebook will pretty much reset your data, and since you have a new budget, Facebook wants to spend all that budget in one day, depending on how much you put and conversion rates, right? So with increasing budget on the winning asset, you only change the budget on the asset, so you don't duplicate, you don't do anything else except changing the budget but increasing it. So my advice, don't increase it too fast. Don't go from $5, unless say $5 you get $2 per purchase and you got like 4 purchases, right? You don't want to increase it really fast. For example, at $5 doing well, getting a few sales, and all of a sudden you increase it to $50. That will for sure mess up Facebook. Sometimes it might not, but most likely it will mess up your data, and it'll reset your past data because you give it a bigger budget, and now Facebook is, hey, I got more to spend now. Then it tries to spend all that money in one day, and sometimes you might not get sales or a few sales here, or you will for sure get a higher cost per purchase if you increase it that big. So the key is to increase it by small increments. I would say about 20-30% on bigger budgets, like if you're doing $50, $100 a day, only increase it by 20% a day. But if your budget's $5 a day and you increase it by 20-30%, that's only like $1 or $2, which is not really a big difference. So with small budgets, you can go up to 50%. Just don't scale it too fast. Let it run for at least 24 hours, 2-3 days or so, and then increase your budget. That's how you pretty much do the increased budget method. So that's the second method to scale your ads is increase your budget slowly. Only, I would say minimum, leave it for 24 hours. Don't touch it. Once you change your budget, say from $5 to $10, don't touch that. Let it run for at least a day. I recommend 1 to 3 days. Let it run for those days, and if it's doing well, increase again by 20% or so, and keep on doing that every 2-3 days. Don't do it like within 24 hours. It'll mess up because it takes time for Facebook to convert with your current new budget to fit it on your conversion. So they try to do the algorithm, and don't change it too fast because that will mess up the system. And the third way to scale your ads is lookalike audience. Well, lookalike audience, you will need a quite big conversions track in order to find effective LLA, which lookalike audience. So for example, if you want to do lookalike audience for a product, for add a cart, make sure you have enough add carts. So I'll say 100 conversion track is good enough, but usually you want 250 to 500 conversion track in order for Facebook to work more effectively, to find more conversion that will convert. So lookalike audience, you will be spending a bit more money here to test different lookalikes. So for lookalikes, I would do one. Let's say you have a winning product. I would do a lookalike for view content, lookalike for add a cart, a lookalike for purchases. But remember, with these lookalikes, you need at least 100 to 500 conversions tracked in order to be more effective with lookalike audience, to find you more lookalikes, right? So you would test out for, let's say you have purchases lookalikes, you have like 500 conversions, 500 purchase tracked, and Facebook have a rough idea on knowing your audience. So what you do is you would go to your audience and create a audience insight. The audience page, and you create a new audience based on that product. So you will go create audience. Actually, let me show you. This one is one of my accounts. Where's my audience? I guess I don't have on this account, but let me just explain it for you real quick. So you will go to audience page and create a new audience based on a website, a certain specific website page. So let's say you have your product A is winning, you would copy that link of product A and track whoever visited, let's say purchases. You would make the audience, and after that create a lookalike based on that, and we use that audience to find lookalikes and test out 1%, 2%, 3% of lookalike. Make sure you test 1%, 2%, 3% only for purchases. For view content, add a cart, only do 1%, because there's no point going 2%, 3% lookalikes for view content and add a cart. It's just too broad. You want to do 1%, 2%, 3%, and so on, only for purchases for lookalikes. This one is the most important one. And the fourth way to scale is scale out. So let's say your ad is doing well, your interest is doing really well, and you can find other interest based on your winning interest. So you will use audience insight for scaling out. You would enter all your winning interest in the box and click on page likes and look at all the other pages that has high affinity. So what that is, it shows that the affinity shows you that the higher it is, the most likely they're related to your winning target that you put in the box. So you want to test 4 or 5 of those high affinity lookalikes, page likes based that are similar to your audience. Test those ones, split test them, spend $5 a day, let run for a few days, and see if those high affinity will do any good, right? So you want to do that for scaling out, target different interests but similar niche, so like different interests but similar to your winning one. And the other way is manual bidding, and manual bidding is probably the most popular method in scaling, and it can also be tricky. Sometimes you could be overspending your budget and underspending, and oh gosh, it goes so on. So with manual bidding, you're gonna spend a lot of money testing, because with the testing phase of manual bidding, you have to test it with different bids and different budgets. And let me tell you now, you're gonna throw away a lot of money doing this, but once you find the sweet spot for your bid and your budget, you will get all this money back. And it's really tricky, but usually for manual bidding, what you want to do is have 2 to 4 assets, with different budgets and different bids. So for example, on my post here, you have 4 different assets. They all have the same budget. You have to test it yourself, and then the only difference is different bids. So $5 bid, $10 bid, $20 bid, and $30 bid. And you want to bid the average bid. The max bid, I wouldn't do a max bid because sometimes you might get more sales with a higher bid and pay less. So you want to test different bids and different budgets and let that run for 1 to 3 days. And of course, the first few days you might spend a lot of money and get no results, but you have that run and look at the data to see which bid is getting you the best when manual bidding. And pretty much that's the top 5 ways that I use to scale my ads. And again, you always want to try all 5 of these. Some of them might not work for you, but some of them might work for you and some people. So what you want to do is, when you scale ads, you want to be more open-minded and try different ways. There is no one way to scale ad. There's a whole bunch of different ways. As long as you have a rough idea, you know what you're doing. So these 5 ways that I use actually works. It got me up to 6 figures in sales in just a couple months using these scaling techniques. And of course, it's going to be hard at first, since if you're new to this, your pixel hasn't really matured. Your pixel doesn't really know who your audience are, and when you have a new pixel, you won't spend a bit more money up front to get those views, get those added cards, get those purchases, in order for Facebook to know who your potential audience are. So pretty much this is just a quick video on the 5 ways that I use to scale my ads successfully. And sometimes few of these might not work, and I've tried duplication, tried increasing budget, tried lookalike, scaling out, and manual bidding, and they all work. Just some of them might not work in different niches. You want to test everything. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back with a new video. Hope this helps to scale your ads to the moon. So I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.